with Gita. So, how are you, Shilaji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Fine, Prabhuji. Weather is slowly changing here to the autumn time. Yeah, cooling. Cool.
Weather will change, we'll get old.
Yes.
Live one day from this world. Life will go on.
Yes.
So, we'll achieve finally. Our achievement will be what we have done bhakti, what bhakti we have done. Right?
Yes. Yes.
That says better you perfect your life and go back to spiritual world.
Yes.
Don't go on staying here, weathers will keep changing.
Yes.
Time
Very true.
saying lives will go, lifespans will go, many lifetimes we would have taken.
Yes, Prabhuji.
People are absorbed like that, weather is changing, new government is coming,
Correct.
things are happening.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. So, Kamath family, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Happy.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Seems to be very happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Rima ji, Hare Krishna, welcome.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, after a long time, we are seeing you in session.
Yes. My clinic is late today, so I thought.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Suvarna ji, Sanyal ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. आप वापस आ गए? Back to Vrindavan?
We are in Vrindavan now.
Okay. Welcome. So weather in Vrindavan is very good, no? Pleasant. Okay. Richa ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Gupta ji, Hare Krishna. आवाज नहीं आ रही आपका. Hare Krishna. Okay. Dear Krishna Prabhu and Mata ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Vaishali ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Sushma ji, Hare Krishna. Okay. So let's begin our session with prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna and seek their blessings. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namah. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Nirvisesh Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Ki Jai Sai Gauranga Ki Jai Father Ki Jai Sai Gauranga. Okay. So let's continue our discussions on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9. And this chapter is titled The Most Confidential Knowledge. We'll be continuing our discussion from verse 20 onwards today. We'll try to cover next 6 verses, up to 25th verse. Just to get a quick recap of what we have understood so far. This chapter and 15th chapter of the chapters in Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna is directly speaking. And and Arjuna is not asking any questions here. Because Krishna is continuing with the subject matter. So, in this chapter, Krishna is going to reveal the most confidential aspect of his existence and of his whole wonderful devotional service which we do, and confidential meaning which is very secret and which is not known to everybody, right? Which is which is very rarely known. That is what it means confidential. It is most confidential. And what is the most confidential knowledge which Krishna is revealing here? That is about his devotional service. How devotees perform devotional service to him, and how so easily they perform it and elevate themselves to spiritual world. It is a very confidential knowledge which Krishna is revealing. And from the very beginning of this chapter, Krishna gives an introduction of this confidential knowledge, that it has many wonderful qualities. And then Krishna reveals the first aspect of his confidential nature about the material world's existence. How in the material world, things are such that everything is conducted by Krishna, but just behind the curtain. Looks like material nature is acting, but behind material nature, Krishna is acting. This is something not seen directly. So this is a very confidential aspect which Krishna reveals in the beginning of this chapter. Right? He says, Maya Dhekshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Right? The whole Prakriti is working under my supervision. She is acting under my direction. Right? So Prakriti may be immediate cause, material nature may be immediate cause, but the remote cause is Krishna. This is very important understanding which scriptures give us. So this is what Krishna is telling. This aspect you have to understand, first aspect. Then further Krishna explains how everything in the material world with regard to the creation, maintenance, sustenance, then destruction is all happening under his direction, and he is seated as though neutral. He's involved but not involved. That is his inconceivable nature. Right? Then Krishna also explained from verse 11 onwards about different types of transcendentalists and different types of various spiritualists, basically. First, he speaks about the topmost spiritualists called pure devotees, Mahatmas. Rather, little after 2 verses he speaks. First he speaks about the lowest class of people who don't even perform any sort of spiritual practice. That is, he calls them as foolish people. They simply take Krishna to be one among the human beings when he descends, and they don't know Krishna's spiritual nature. They're fully bewildered. And completely contrast to this, there are pure devotees who are completely devoted to him, or under the spiritual nature, Daivi Prakriti Mashritaha, right? And they are constantly engaged in Krishna's devotion, so much so that they are determined in performing devotion in any situation. So giving this two extremes of one for non-devotees, one is completely devoted Mahatmas, Krishna also gives a spectrum of other spiritualists, like impersonalists, or known as monists, or worshippers of different other demigods. They're called pantheis. And also Krishna speaks about worshippers of universal form. Right? And further Krishna explains about how in the Vedic culture there are people who are performing or following the various Vedic rituals for their material benefit. They are called karma kandis, or the followers of Vedic rituals for some material benefit, right? So about them Krishna explains, and how they are performing some rituals and all the other yajnas, pujas, but nevertheless whatever they perform is actually Krishna. The Krishna's and Krishna's energy it is. And further Krishna explains how everything in the material world is a manifestation of him only. Whether our relatives, our friends, the community of people around us, or the different manifestations what we see as Krishna says, the Omkara, or the Vedas, or even the many other aspects in our life as a goal in life, or who is maintaining us, who is witnessing our actions. All that is Krishna, and everything, the seed manifestation is Krishna. So it's Bijam Avyayam, right? And even the rain, what comes, even the heat, what is manifested, everything is Krishna. Even the death is Krishna. The life is Krishna. Like this, Krishna goes on to say how he is all pervading. This particular aspect of Krishna's all pervasiveness, Krishna explained in the 7th chapter also. Now he's further elaborating on it. Now, starting from verse 20, Krishna is going to explain about one more class of people. They are called materialistic elevationists, who are busy in materialistic life, but they want to take help of Vedic understanding. Right? About them, Krishna has mentioned in 2nd chapter. 2nd chapter is the contents of the Gita summarized. Right? Whatever Krishna is going to speak, Krishna has already summarized all of them in the 2nd chapter. Right? So in verses, I think 40. I'm right. Okay. Yeah. It is 1 second. 41, 42. Yes, 42, 43. Krishna says, Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti abhipaschitaha vedavada rata partha nanyadastiti vadinaha. There are a lot of descriptions in the Vedic literatures wherein the description is that you perform this puja, this yajna, or this ritual, then you will go to heaven and you will enjoy life like that. So in that way, the Vedavada Rata, Krishna says, supposed followers of Vedas, right? Their only desire is to improve their material standard of life, increase the standard of their enjoyment in the material world. So they study Vedas from that point of view. So the verses in this section, what we see, will be focused on them. And also Krishna is going to tell about how the materialists, when they worship these devatas, what is the results they're going to get. And in between, Krishna also explains the contrast of worshipping devatas and worshipping Krishna. This devata worship, Krishna already has explained briefly in the 7th chapter. Right? So let's get into the details from verse 20. I hope all of you are having your copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Right? So in this, the verse 20 of 9th chapter, let us read. Traividya mam somapa putapapa yagnair ishtva swargatim prarthayante te punyam asadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Okay, so in this verse, Krishna is telling specifically about karma kandis. Karma kandis means they study Vedas to the effect that they want to drink what is known as Soma Rasa. Soma Rasa is a beverage which is available in the upper planetary systems, heavenly planets, wherein Krishna is indicating here, if you is a beverage wherein it's like an intoxicating beverage, but not going to intoxicate you the way it is intoxicating us in the material world. See, intoxication in the material world is considered to be, on the earthly planet, is considered to be sinful. Whereas this is a beverage which is going to prolong your life and also relieve you from all sins. That's what Krishna is telling us here. Somapa puta papa. Papa puta means like all the sins are purified. Yes, see. So this is what the devatas drink, the beverage, right, for their prolonged life and very healthy life. So the Vedavada Rathas, or the people who are studying the Vedas, especially the three Vedas, Trividya, Sama, Yajur, Rig Veda, they study the Vedas they aspire to drink Soma juice to be free from sinful reactions. And what is their desire? Yagner ishtva swargatim prarthayante. And they want to go to heavenly planets. Right? Generally, people have this conception. They want to experience heaven. Heaven means we'll have more comforts. We'll have many things to enjoy. That is the understanding people have. Almost all religions, right? So this is what the materialists who want to elevate themselves by the understanding from the Vedas, they want to do is that they want to go to heavenly planets. That is their desire. And for that, they perform yajnas. And that's what they pray. Right? And because of which, the way the Krishna has designed this material world, if you remember in third chapter, Krishna has explained, along with the creation, Krishna has sent forth generations of men and devatas, and also the performance of yajna. So when you perform yajna, then you will get punya. Right? There are prescribed duties which the human beings had to perform. So when they perform the yajnas, they get punya, and because of which they elevate themselves to heavenly planets. Right? The way the laws in the material world Krishna has arranged or designed is that you do activities as per Vedic regulations, you're going to earn the pious credit. You're going to get, you can say, brownie points, right? Which it's like there were great demons like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. They performed austerities and they got great powers. So the laws in material nature, the laws of karma, the way Krishna has designed is such that anybody performs them the way Vedas are prescribing us, they will get results. That's how it is. So when the materialists aspiring to go to heavenly planets, they perform yajnas and they want to go there. And what they want to do? They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Krishna is telling, Ashnanti divyan divideva bhoga. So the spiritual, the heavenly planets are within the material world only. We have understood this in the 8th chapter. They are not beyond the material world. Right? Heavenly planets are also part of this material universe. They are also being subjected to repetition of creation, maintenance, annihilation, like any part of the material world. So just elevating to the heavenly planets for more enjoyment, better facilities, better comforts of life is what these materialists aspire for. So Krishna says, these people also indirectly are worshipping me only by this method. At least being engaged in some material activity, they are doing some activity as per Vedic regulations, rules, regulations, wherein they are getting some punya and elevating themselves to heavenly planets. So it looks to be, very interesting, right? It's like people aspire to go to Western countries from India so that they can get better standard of life. They get, nice earning. That way, very, very nice, happy, comfortable life. People think like that. So likewise, here also in the material world, people think on the earth that, if you go to heavens, we'll have more comfortable life. But the important knowledge which Krishna has given us in the 8th chapter is that starting from Brahma Loka down to the Patala Loka, all are places of misery, where repeated birth and death is happening. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Right? So now Krishna is explaining different types of in this material world here. How there are some people who are interested like this, some people are interested in this way. Like this, different types of personalities are interested in different ways. So here Krishna wants us to explain, when you see the world around us, how we should read them, how we should understand from the scriptural point of view. So there are people who, from the aspect of Vedic knowledge, they're taking that portion of the Vedic understanding wherein they want to express their desire for sense gratification. More and more enjoyment in the material world, they want to continue. Right? Prabhupada explains in that part of Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, with regard to this, people in general, Prabhupada says, are not very intelligent. And due to their ignorance, they are attached to gratifying their senses only, material senses. Right? So they are very much enamored by the sense gratificatory proposals from the Vedic understanding. And in that way, they want to enjoy life in heaven. They want to have more and more facilities for sense gratification. That's what they want, which they want to do here also, and they want to continue doing it in the heavenly planets also. So this is something which is not considered to be intelligent way of life. Because continuing to be in the material world is like continuing to be in the prison life. Prabhupada gives an example of how when there are big VIPs being arrested for some scams, they are put in prison, but they are not put in ordinary prison. They are put in A-class prison. Right? There are more facilities in that prison wherein they can watch TV and they have some more comforts. But there are also B-class prisons, C-class prisons. But after all, it is a prison. Just, you think go from C-class prison, let me go to A-class prison, it is more comfortable. That is a prison. So anywhere in the material world you go, it is a prison. It's a jail. So you have to come out of this material world or go back to spiritual world. That is what Krishna wants us to instruct in the whole Bhagavad Gita. Simply going to higher planet and want to enjoy more. Again, what happens after that if you go there? Krishna explains next. Oh, I want to go there, I'll go there, and not that you're going to be there permanently. That place also is subject to destruction. That's what Krishna explained in the beginning of this chapter. Right? The material world is subjected to continuous creation, maintenance, destruction. So this is what the karmis or the materialists want to accomplish in their life, mostly using the path of Vedic understanding. And what happens to them when they go to the heavenly planets? Next verse, Krishna explains, verse 21. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam shine punye martyalokam vishanti evam trayi dharma manuprapanna gatagatam kama labhante. Okay, not that they're going to stay there permanently in the heavenly planets. As soon as their pious credit or their punya is over, kshine punya, punya is exhausted, what happens? They again come back to this earthly planet. Martya lokam vishanti. Yes, they go to heavenly planets. Just like when you want to go to any foreign country, you're supposed to have so many rules, regulations being followed. You have to qualify yourself with a proper visa and so many other regulations as per that country. Then only you're allowed entry. Likewise, going to heavenly planets means you have to be qualified with some level of punya. Once you go there, doesn't mean you're going to stay there permanently. Krishna says, after your pious credit or the punya account is depleted, you will come back to this earthly planet again. So like this, from the Vedic principles, you just want to enjoy some flickering happiness. Why flickering? Because from the eternal time scale point of view, just a flash it is. For some time you go, sometime you come back, sometime you go, sometime you come back. So Krishna is telling us that through this way of Vedic principles for elevating yourself, you want to go to heaven and again you come back. Sometimes you do abominable activity, you go to Patala, you go to hell. Like this, you are going up and down, up and down, up and down. You would have seen, just like sometimes in a mela or a fair, a big wheel is there, Ferris wheel, right? People sit in that and then, they go like this round, round, round. So person who going up, he thinks, oh, I am on top of the world, right? But that person again will come down one round, right? Like this, that wheel goes for some rounds and there is some excitement. Brahmanda Brahmite. Brahmanda Brahmana. We are just simply rotating in this universe. Sometimes as Devata, sometimes as a human, sometimes as animal, sometimes as a worm in stool. Going on, 84 lakh species of life. So Gatagatam Kama Labhante, Krishna says, just for that flickering happiness of your senses, you are subjecting yourself to be under the laws of nature, going on in rotation of cycle of birth and death. Gatagatam. Again taking birth, again dying, again taking birth, again dying. The similar word was used by Krishna at the very beginning of the second chapter, right? Krishna chastised Arjuna when Arjuna gave a lot of proposals why he doesn't want to fight. The very first verse Krishna speaks when he starts speaking, 11th verse, the second chapter. Asocyan anvasocastvam prajna vadamsha bhashase gatasun agatasumscha nanu sochanti pandita. Arjuna, you're talking like a very learned man, great scholar, but you don't know what is worthy of grief, right? A wise man doesn't lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Gata agata means, basically it means birth and death. So, gata gatam kama kama labhante. So many desires we have. Like this, our life is going on, sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes on earth. We don't know what's going on with us. So Krishna is in those two verses very nicely summarizing the way people who say they are religious, who are trying to follow Vedic understanding, but their desire, deep-rooted desire is how to enjoy the material world. Right? So this is about the materialistic elevationists, Prabhupada says. So, because they are not aware of the understanding that coming out of this material world, going to spiritual world is what the purpose of life is. Krishna is the ultimate shelter we have to take. This knowledge they are lacking, because of which they are going on. It's like Prahlad Maharaj Bhattaji said, Puna Punascharvita Charvananam. Puna Punascharvita means again and again you are chewing the chewed. Prabhupada gives example of a sugar cane has been fully squeezed. All the juice has been taken out from the sugar cane. Right? And after that, that pulp is thrown. Somebody comes and sees, oh, maybe there is some more juice in this. Let me squeeze out something in this. So our material life is like that. In the previous many lifetimes, we have experienced or enjoyed sense gratification, but we think, oh, in this life again I can enjoy. Prabhupada gives example of how, okay, the parents have experienced their life of sense gratification. They want to say that the children also have to experience the same thing. Right? Prabhupada used to give example of how when some youngsters used to come and become part of his movement, the parents were objecting. And Prabhupada used to see how it is. They want to have their children also go through the same experience of sense gratification process. It's become it's sort of like a mechanical life. Oh, I did this, you should also do this. Krishna says, like this, a type of sense gratification will only entangle you more and more and continue your material existence. So Prabhupada says one should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy eternal life. Life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to this miserable material existence. This should be the goal of life. So what Krishna has been stressing again and again in 8th chapter, 7th chapter, right? Yad gatvana nivartante tadhama paramam. Once you come to my place, you will not again come back to this material world, Krishna explains. So now somebody may question, okay, you people are telling this all, of no use going to heavens or enjoying life here. Just lead a very simple life. Now, what will be your destination? Right? Where you will go? Somebody may ask. For that, Krishna immediately answers in verse 22, very important verse. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya abhiyuktalam yogakshemam vahamyam. This is the statement where in our Indian LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, has taken this statement. Yogakshemam vahamyam. Right? What does Yogakshemam vahamyam means? I preserve what you have and I give you what you lack. Okay. You are having some, whatever property you have, I'll preserve it. And something you don't have, I'll give you. So LIC is claiming it will do that for us after our death. Okay. So anyway, this is a statement of Bhagavad Gita, which we have to understand very nicely. Here, Krishna is telling that those devotees who are constantly engaged, ananya chinta, no other chinta. See, we have to do chinta of something. Our mind should be absorbed in something always. Just like we are doing some gardening work, mind will be absorbed in that. Oh, how to do this, how to do that. Or you're doing some specific office work, you have to do that. Cooking, yes, fully absorbed. So mind has to be absorbed in some chinta. Chinta means thought process. So Krishna says, you do chinta of me always. Ananyas chintayanto ma. That's what devotees do. And they are ye jana paryupasate. Such devotees are always worshipping Krishna in this way, in full devotion, every day. Nitya yukta upasate. Nitya yuktana. So for such people who are constantly devoted to me, or meditating on me, on my transcendental form, Krishna says, I do the yogakshema. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. And Krishna says, he does it personally for devotees. That's a very important statement here. Important word which Krishna is using here. It doesn't, for others, Krishna has many agents with regard to those who are not devotees. He has many agents to facilitate things. Laws of karma are there. There are different demigods who supply necessities of life. But for devotees, Krishna says, I personally deliver. Right? So this is what Krishna is giving us assurance. When you are devoted to him, when you are completely engaged in his devotion, Krishna says, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Actually, in our life, we are doing two important things. We want to acquire things which we don't have for our comfortable life. And whatever I have now, I want to keep it safely. Right? That is what we want to do. We want to do yogakshema in terms of our own life in various aspects. Okay, this knowledge I don't have, I want to acquire. Already what knowledge I have, I should be, in touch and trying to practice that. See, in many aspects from gross to subtle, it may be in terms of, say, physical strength or property or knowledge or emotional aspects. We want to do yogakshema, our relationships, right? Everything we want to see that what I have, I should maintain it, I should preserve it, and I should not. I don't have many connections, I want to make new connections. So Krishna is trying to tell us, in every aspect of your life, in every facet of your life, I would like to do it for you, for my devotion. Right? You have developed some level of devotion to me. I will see that it is preserved. It is kept safe. And I will see that you will not get allured by Maya. You will not be fascinated by the different various illusory aspects in the material world. That's the special blessing of Krishna. Otherwise, material world is very, very captivating. Jada vidya maya vaibhava tumara bhajane badha. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, the material world is so enamoring and it is so enticing that it is every moment you can get slipped away from bhakti. But it is Krishna's grace because we are trying to chant his names. Whatever chanting we are doing, that is saving us. That is his protection. He is preserving our bhakti. Right? And he is also inspiring from within us. Okay, you do this also, you will get more bhakti. You do this, you get more bhakti. So Krishna is trying to help us in every aspect. This is what Krishna is going to explain in the next chapter also, 10th chapter. How for a sincere soul who wants to become devoted to him, from within he gives intelligence. And he provides all the necessary guidelines for moving forward towards his destination. That is his special mercy. So from the completely gross aspect of even the basic necessities of life, right? So Prabhupada often gives this classic example in his own life. when Prabhupada landed in America, practically he was without any money. He had only carried 40 rupees with him. And that cannot be, in fact, used anywhere. It is because it is Indian rupees. So before Prabhupada traveled in ship for almost 38 days. Today is September 19th. In 1965, Prabhupada landed in New York. Right? Sorry, September 18th he landed, sorry. 19th, sorry, today is 20th. September 19th he landed. And when Prabhupada landed, he didn't have money. So he gave one set of Bhagavatam, what he had printed and brought from India, to the captain of the ship in which he was traveling. He told, you purchase this, Bhagavatam set. How much it is? The captain asked. So Prabhupada said $16. Right? And that captain gave $20. That is the money with which Prabhupada landed in America. Practically zero money. And after, say, 4 or 5 years, in a lecture, Prabhupada says, I started with scratch, with only 40 rupees in my hand, which I didn't use. Money, Indian money cannot be used there. Which Prabhupada uses it later on when he comes back to India at one point of time for auto charge or a taxi charge. So Prabhupada says, now I have an empire of 40 crores. So Krishna provided what Prabhupada lacked. Right? And Krishna preserved his devotion. This is a classic example. Prabhupada often gives the example. How Krishna provides. When you want to do his service, all necessities Krishna is going to provide. Only thing what is lacking in the entire world is people's devotion to Krishna. Otherwise, Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj used to say, there is no shortage of anything in the material world. Everything is abundant. Everything is sufficient. What is lacking is people's Krishna consciousness. When Krishna consciousness is awakened, then you see everything will be in abundance. That's the point. So this verse is a very important verse. We have to reflect on this meaning of this from different angles. I just gave you some indications of what is this, what is the meaning you have to take. So Krishna will provide everything for our life, what is required. Just we have to be devoted to him, that's all. Otherwise, generally people's way of working is, oh, I have to take care of myself, I have to provide myself, I have to, take care of my old age. So many worries, anxieties, it's all sitting in their consciousness. Because they don't have dependence on Krishna. Here Krishna is telling us, you become dependent on me, devoted to me, I will take care. It's like a child who wants to independently care for itself. How much it will take care of itself? Right? It cannot do anything. Whereas once it is dependent on the parents will take care without even asking. That's what it is. That's how Krishna is. So in the material world, when you want to be independent of Krishna, then you have to struggle in the material world. Struggle for existence will go on. Very, very bitter struggle for existence will go on based on your karma. Whereas for a devotee, he is beyond karma. Right? Because Krishna is taking care of his life. Right? Krishna is taking care of his all necessities of life. So Prabhupada is personal example. Prabhupada says, well, before going to America, I was thinking, what will happen to me? Who will take care of me? Right? He says in one of the essays I was reading recently. I was thinking, what will happen? Who will take care? I have to give up my family, take sannyasa. But my Guru Maharaj and Krishna is very merciful. I have come to America. I have more than 300 children. I had 3 children. I have 300 children. All of them are taking care of me so nicely. It is Krishna's mercy. So by surrendering to Krishna, you are not the loser. You are the biggest gainer. That's the point. The story of the fruit vendor who came to Vrindavan to sell her fruits. And in the older times, the system was to have barter, exchange with goods. Right? So Krishna had seen that his parents used to give some grains or some other items for exchange of fruits or some other items. So he also just with the small hands, he brought some few grains of grains from inside his house and wanted to give to the fruit vendor in exchange for fruits. Hardly any grains in his small hands. Almost everything had fallen by the time he came. And he just gave few grains to that vendor. And she was so captivated by the charming beauty of Lord Krishna that she just filled Krishna with a lot of fruits. And after that, when she's going back, she's seeing her whole basket is filled with valuable jewels and ornaments. This is what Krishna gives you. Just being surrendered to him, devoted to him, you are the biggest gainer. Right? So let's go to the next verse now. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Now Krishna is continuing that line of thought of going to heavenly planets, worship of devatas, right? So Krishna has explained this in the 7th chapter also, right? He says here that those who engage in the worship of devatas or demigods are not very intelligent. And even though such worship is done to him indirectly, Krishna is telling here. So whatever you offer as a sacrifice to different devatas. Who are devatas? Devatas are living entities who are empowered living entities who are appointed as administrative managers to take care of different universal affairs. Just like one devata by name Indra is taking care of rains. The devata by name Vayu is taking care of the airs. Sun devata is taking care of heat and light. Like that, there are 33 crore devatas. So sometimes because of material desires, the material world, kamais tesya ritaggyana, 7th chapter, Krishna says that because of 7th chapter 20th verse, Krishna says that because of the distorted material desires a person has, the minds are distorted by material desires, they surrender to devatas and they follow particular rules and regulations of worship because they have material desires to be fulfilled. They have a lot of aspirations to enjoy in the material world. Krishna very clearly says the type of surrender and the faith you have developed towards a particular devata is also given by Krishna from within the heart. Not that the devata is giving to that worshipper or that bhakta. Devata bhakta, that devotion which he has for that devata is not because devata has given that devotion. No, Krishna only has given that. Krishna says in 7th chapter. And after that, if devata has to give some vara, benediction, that also Krishna only has to sanction. Krishna gives, only devata can give. Right? All this Krishna has explained in the 7th chapter, verses 20, 21, 22, 23. Right? So here Krishna is again sort of concluding that aspect, saying that whatever a sacrifice or puja you do to other devatas, Arjuna, they are all really meant for me only. Tepi mameva kaunteya. Anya devata bhakta yante shraddhayanvita. Means with faith, you do all the puja rituals to any devata. Ultimately, they are meant for me only. But because the worshipper has no sufficient knowledge, they worship the devatas in a way as though the devatas are the ultimate. Very important principle you have to understand here. So Krishna is using a very important word, avidhi purvakam. Vidhi means rules, regulations. Avidhi means not following the rules, regulations. Or vidhi means correct, right way. Avidhi means wrong way. Right? So, if you don't know the thing properly, then you do it wrongly. Right? So it's like you don't know how to operate mobile, you go on wrongly operate, it will not operate properly. So you don't know the way Krishna has established system in the material world with regard to who are the devatas, what is Krishna's position, but you start considering devatas as the ultimate. That is because of your imperfect understanding, your ignorance. That's the point. So Krishna is very clearly telling here that because people are lacking proper understanding, they are worshipping devatas. Actually, Krishna is trying to tell us here that Krishna doesn't approve the unnecessary worship of the devatas. Devata worship, Krishna is condemning and is telling it is not required. Right? So, somebody may ask, oh, the gopis worship devatas. We have examples in Bhagavad, many devotees worshiping devatas. But their worship of devatas was to provide devotion to Krishna, not for anything else. To understand this aspect. When it is for exclusive devotion to Krishna, fine. But generally, people, worshippers of devatas, they are seeking some material benefits. Kangshanta karmanam siddhim. 4th chapter Krishna says. Because they want to have some material benefits, they want to worship devatas and they want to get them immediately. That is the problem. So here, very clearly, Krishna is explaining that he is the root of everything. Prabhupada gives 2 examples in this purport. You water the root of the tree, automatically the water nourishment goes to every part of the tree. The branches, leaves, twigs, fruits, flowers. But you individually start pouring water on the leaves or branches, how long you will do? That is because you don't know water should be put in the root. Lack of sufficient knowledge is because of that, doesn't know what is the root. Or you want to nourish your body. You don't feed your fingers or your head or separately any other part. You put the food to the stomach and say the mouth and food goes to the stomach and you get the nourishment. That is the system. So Krishna has established a system in the material world, how things are working. So that system has to be understood. Otherwise, whatever you do, you will not get the result. Right? For everything in the material world also, there are some systems made for a proper regulated way of functioning for everybody. That system you have to know. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to reveal that systems and make us aware of those systems so that we get the maximum benefit in our life. So, worshipping Devata, Krishna is telling it is avidhi purvakam, it is wrong, it is illegal, Krishna says. Prabhupada also goes to the extent of telling, these Devatas are like officers. If you go and bribe the officers, what happens? If you bribe the officer, you will be punished. It is illegal, you will be put behind bars. In many cases every day, newspapers coming up, right? This officer was bribed, so both of them were jailed. So it is illegal. So worship of devatas means you don't know the position of Krishna and you're taking somebody else as ultimate. That is wrong. That is a very wrong understanding of our way of our knowledge. So here, very clearly, Krishna is explaining in this 23rd verse that people may follow Vedic understanding and worship devatas, want to go to heavens. But all that is actually indirectly worshipping Krishna only. But why they are doing this? Because they have insufficient understanding. Proper understanding is not there. Such worship is not required. Unnecessary. Krishna is trying to tell us here. And Krishna doesn't approve such unnecessary worship. Because it's going to waste your time. You have limited time. Perfect your life by practicing, chanting Hare Krishna and go back to spiritual world. Why you have to waste your time? That's the point. Okay, let us go to the next verse. One more again, very interesting and important verse. Verse 24. Ahami sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natumam abhijananti tatve natas chavantite. So Krishna is telling that ahami sarva yajnanam. I am the only object of all sacrifice. And I am the only bhokta, enjoyer. Right? In the 5th chapter also Krishna has explained. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. If you remember, the peace formula. 3 things Krishna says. I am the enjoyer of all the sacrifices, all the activities of the entire humanity. He is the only enjoyer. He is the only proprietor of all the planetary systems, all the devatas. And thirdly, he is the best well-wisher for everybody, every living entity. Right? If you understand this, you become very peaceful, Krishna says. Because living entities want to imitate this position of Krishna. So like this, similarly here Krishna says, again repeats the thing, I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. I am his sarva yajnanam bhokta prabhurevacha. Nice, reiterating this point again. So why? Because this has to be sitting very clearly. Any activity, the enjoyer is Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna is a sacrifice. Next chapter, Krishna says, Yajnanam japa yagyosmi. Of all the different types of yajnas, Krishna says, I am japa yajna. So when you are chanting Hare Krishna, this is the highest yajna you are doing, sacrifice you are doing in this Kali Yuga. So this yajna's enjoyer is whom? Krishna. I am chanting for Krishna's satisfaction. This should be the consciousness in our activity of chanting. Oh, I'm chanting, I'm feeling very good. That is not the consciousness. Whether I feel good or doesn't feel good, you have to chant for Krishna's satisfaction. Today morning, I had shared one short clip from Madhu Pandit Prabhu chanting. Most of you would have heard. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you don't like to chant, but chant anyway. Right? You chant very late in night, but chant anyway. Right? While chanting, your mind goes here and there, but chant anyway.
Continue.
So like this, chant anyway, because chanting is the highest sacrifice, highest activity in this whole, highest value action in this material world. Chanting Krishna has descended himself in his holy name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, doesn't matter whether you like or don't like, you chant anyway. Right? You know the meaning or you know no meaning, you chant anyway. Because chanting is the highest. So Krishna says, when you chant, you should know that I am accepting your sacrifice. Knowingly or unknowingly, you do, benefit is there. It's like Prabhupada gives example. A child knows the physics of the fire or no. It touches the fire, it will burn. A physicist or a scientist who knows all the science of physics, he touches the fire, it will burn. Child doesn't know, also burns. So chanting is like that. Very powerful, very potent. You know or doesn't know, it will act. So when you are chanting or any activity in Krishna consciousness, even reading Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says yajna. Swadhyaya yajna. 4th chapter Krishna explained. Right? Even 18th chapter he will explain. So even reading Bhagavad Gita, you are worshipping Krishna by your intelligence. That also is for Krishna satisfaction. So any activity you do in devotion, you should understand Krishna is the object of sacrifice. He is the only enjoyer. And Krishna says very clearly, those who don't recognize this, natu mam abhijananti, tatve natas chavantite. A very important statement Krishna is making. If you don't understand this truth behind this whole principle of how things are all functioning, how the activities in devotion are happening, then you fall down. Which means you continue in your material consciousness. Fall down means your consciousness is degraded. Right? So basically, Krishna is trying to tell us that any action we do authorized as per the Guru Sadhu Shastra should be done in this consciousness. In fact, this will be further given more stress in the later chapters. We'll see how Krishna explains in different contexts how the action done in mode of goodness, action done in mode of passion, action done in mode of ignorance, right? Sacrifice done in different mode. Krishna explains elaborately all these things later on. The basic understanding is that action in the mode of goodness has this consciousness that it is all meant for Krishna. Just like when we do yajna also, we offer ghee in the fire and say, idam na mama, it is not for me, it is for you, Krishna. Because anything we do, our conditioned way of thinking is, it's for me. I am the enjoyer. Anything I see, anything I think, anything I want to experience in the material world, the center is I. First is I. I want to enjoy. The perception is I, mama, aham, mama. I and mine, that's all. World is only I and mine. No, I and mine is dead. Okay, you should only understand it is nirahankara nirmama. Krishna explained this in second chapter many times, and many other later chapters also. Nirmama, nirahankara. Nirmama means not mine, Krishna's. Nirahankara means I am my ahankara or my ego is I am Krishna's servant, not that I am Krishna or I am bigger than Krishna or I am this body. Nirmama nirahankara. And Krishna says this in many places in Bhagavad Gita. So we have to understand this concept. Very important verse again. Krishna says he is the only object of sacrifice. He is the only enjoyer. Understanding this in truth, tattva, tattvataha. In factually, you have to understand this. Otherwise, your consciousness will fall down. Tattve natis chavantite. Chavanti means it will degrade. It will fall down. Right? So we should not allow our consciousness to fall down in any way. Always understand it's meant for Krishna, meant for Krishna. Then this consciousness is predominant. What happens? You will elevate your consciousness. Material world, everybody's consciousness is for me, I and mine. Right? Everything is for me, for my enjoyment. Okay, so let's go to the last verse of today's discussions. Verse 25. Again, Krishna is concluding here with the discussions he had so far with Devata worship and his worship. He says, what is the destination? If you worship Devatas, what will happen to you? If you worship ghosts and spirits, what will happen to you? If you worship your ancestors, Pitas, now Pitru Paksha is going on, what will happen to you? Or you worship me, what will happen to you? 4 things Krishna says. Yanti deva vrata devan, pitrun yanti pitrvrataha, bhutani yanti bhutejya, yanti mad yajinopi maam. So Krishna is saying very clearly in this verse that if you worship Devatas, you will go to Devata Loka. If you worship Pitra means the forefathers. There is a planet called Pitra Loka, wherein those forefathers who have not got a gross body, they're all in the body of subtle body of different ghosts. They're all staying there. Ghosts, Pishachas, that way. It's called Pitraloka. So the duty of the family is to offer, oblations. Krishna explained that in the 16th verse, right? We saw that. Prabhupada explains how aham kraturaham yajnaha, the offerings, oblations offered to the Pitraloka, sacrifice performed to please the Pitraloka, Pitrus, considered as a kind of drug. So you have to offer prasada to them so that they take Krishna's prasada and then they get gross body. They're all suffering in the Pitraloka. Right? So if you worship your ancestors, you will go to that planet of ancestors. You'll all meet them. And if you worship bhutas, it's like in the, Prabhupada says here, there's some villages who are practicing black art. Right? It's called Pishacha worship, black magic. Right? They worship this bhutas, pretas, black magic. So if you worship such bhutas, pretas, you will go to Bhutaloka. There is a planet for bhutas and pretas. And if you worship Krishna, you will go to Krishna. Very simple. So often this Prabhupada gives this example. If you take a ticket from Delhi to Kolkata, you will go to Kolkata only. Not that you take a Delhi to Kolkata ticket, train ticket, and you want to go to Bangalore. No, not possible. A ticket is entitled for going to Kolkata. So the present modern day way of so-called spiritualists propagating a theory called Yatomat Tatopat. Whatever you do, whatever worship you do, whatever yagna you do, whatever puja you do, finally you will go to the same destination. How it is possible? I take a ticket to Kolkata, I come to Bangalore. No. That is what it is. Oh, you follow impersonalism, you follow voidism, you follow Devata worship, you follow everything is one. All paths are one. No, Krishna says it's wrong. If you worship Devata, you will go to Devata Loka. If you worship Pitras, you'll go to Pitru Loka. You worship Bhutas, Pishachas, black magic, you will go to Bhuta Loka. And you worship, and Shiva is called Bhutanatha. He is the master of all these Bhutas. Bhutas have got ghostly bodies, wherein they are, they are looking for a gross body. So Shiva is so merciful, he want to deliver them. It's called Bhutanatha. And he delivers them and gives them devotion to Krishna. You see, what level Shiva is so merciful, compassionate. And then worship Krishna, you come to Krishna. So Krishna worship is very simple. Just chant Hare Krishna every day. Fixed number of times. Krishna says, will come to me. That's all. So it's as simple. What way are absorbing your mind? What does Krishna say in 8th chapter? Yam yam vapi swaran bhavam tajatyante kalevaram. Whatever consciousness you are going to have at the point of your time, of your death, that type of body you're going to get definitely. So if you are cultivating your consciousness whole life, worshipping a Devata, worshipping a Pitra, worshipping a Bhuta, or worshipping, something else, you'll get that body next life. Right? Bhagavad even goes on to say, in the modern day context, boy and girl too attached. Right? So with that attachment, if one of them die, a boy attached to girl, he dies, the next life will get a girl's body. Or a girl attached to boy, he dies, then she'll get a boy's body. Like that, life after life. There's a story like this in Bhagavad about Puranjana. So like this, sometimes boy, sometimes girl, sometimes something like this. 84 lakh species we are going on, rotating. And our life goes on. So what is this going on? Sometimes it feels like, oh, I'm just going on like this, the cycle of rotation of birth and death. Punarapi manaram, puranapi jananam, punarapi maranam. What is going on? So that sense should be awakened. So Krishna is trying to tell us all these various aspects to get us awaken that sense of urgency of what we should do in human form of life. Simply Brahman, traveling all over the universe, different universes in different bodies. What is the use? Right? Just perfect your life by chanting Hare Krishna and following the principles as given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so I'll conclude here. If anybody is going to ask, discuss, and take up questions or comments.
Prabhuji, I have one doubt.
Yeah, please.
See, when Lord Krishna got that poisonous arrow, when it was hit, he knew that he will leave his body. So he went to the river. I forgot the name of that river. And then first thing what he did the tarpan for his forefather. So that is called the Pitti tarpan, I can say. So no, because we that is also assumption. Means he did the tarpan, whether it is Pitti tarpan or Dev tarpan or Manusya tarpan, we don't know. But he did the tarpan. Okay. So in one side, now this is the tarpan, this is the Pitti tarpan is going on, Prabhuji. So this time, as per the Bhagavad Gita, it is not required to perform the Pitti tarpan. What is your advice?
What Prabhupada says in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna had a question about whether his one concern was when all the elders in the family are dead, then the other family members, women and children and other family members, will not be following the rituals, the tarpana, shraddha ceremony, all this will be stopped. So it is a great anomaly, Krishna. So how do we, overcome this anomaly? That was his question. Right. So Prabhupada very clearly says in the Bhagavad Gita, first chapter only, purport, that the purifying process, purificatory process of Shraddha, other things, is required for those who are not following Krishna conscious principles. For those who are following Krishna conscious principles, already all these are there in that process itself. It is very powerful, very purifying process. Right, I'll just read out the purport. Where Prabhupada is specifically mentioning about your point. Right. See, this is verse number 41 of first chapter, purport. I would request all of you to open this verse.
1.41.
1.41. Right. Arjuna's concern is when there is unwanted population increase, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. And in such corrupt families, there is no offering of oblations. Patanti pitaro yesham lupta pindotaka kriyaha. Arjuna's concern is pindadana, nobody will do. Offering of food and water oblation, nothing will happen. So Prabhupada explains. I'll read carefully. You also, all of us, let us understand this point. According to the rules, regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This is called Shraddha ceremony or Pindadana. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu, because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. Correct? Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. Those who are not in devotional life are supposed to perform them. One who is engaged in devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Clear? Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. Very clear. Bhagavatam says, Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavatam, anyone who takes shelter of lotus feet of Mukunda, giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligations, and has taken to the path in seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by a performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you water the root, automatically nourishment goes to all over the body, all over the tree. So when you are worshipping Krishna, automatically all the other things are taken care. Prabhupada says not only one forefather, hundreds and thousands of forefathers will be liberated. But the individual has to perform devotional service seriously. That's the point. To whatever level he is able to do sincerely, seriously, it's good enough.
But Lord Krishna has performed that rituals.
Lord Krishna performed many things. He says in 3rd chapter very clearly, he performs activities like any ordinary human being just to set an example. To set an example, he does. See, all this, whatever you are asking, questions, answer is Krishna has explained in the Bhagavad Gita. I'll tell you the specific verse I'll quote for you. Why Krishna performs the activities. See, Krishna says in verse number 23 of 3rd chapter, 3.23. Please open. Read that, only translation will read.
3.23.
What does he say? Please read. For if I did not engage in work, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Correct? Yet I am engaged in work. In verse 22, he says, yet I am engaged in work. Even though I don't have anything to do, I am beyond all works. I don't want anything. Right? I have nothing to obtain. Even then I work because I want to set a right example to people. Because if I don't work, verse 24, he says, same chapter, everybody will follow my path. Oh, Krishna didn't do, I'll also not do. Krishna says, I will be the cause of creating disturbance in society. Very clear. So Krishna, he comes, he as much as possible abides by all the Vedic regulations in his actions. He goes to spiritual master. Why he has to go? Already he is the master of all knowledge. Why he has to go? Set an example. This is how you should conduct yourself. Right? Most of the actions are all as per regulations. Some are superhuman actions, which nobody can imitate him. That's the point. Okay, so Krishna did many actions as a householder, as a youth, as per rules and regulations, just to set an example to all of us. This is how you have to conduct in human life. So Krishna doesn't want to violate the rules and regulations of Vedas. Because otherwise, again, there will be an upstart or some people who don't want to, follow anything. Oh, Krishna didn't do, I'll also not do. It'll set a bad example. That's the idea. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. This is very clear.
Any other question or clarification?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sushma ji, बोलिए. कुछ है question आपका? ठीक है. Okay, fine. So we will have 2 more sessions on this chapter because this chapter is elaborate and requires close attention. And as we saw today, so many topics Krishna is explaining. Whatever Krishna is explaining here is all in a very concise way. Is explaining. Same things are elaborated in Bhagavata. Whatever we discussed today. How the people use Vedic aspects as means of performing rituals, pujas, and then go to heavenly planets. All that detail is explained. Okay, so we'll see more descriptions in the next section of this chapter. So we'll close here now. Thank you, everybody. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna.